Okay, so in the last lecture, we have studied about the for loop, switch case, while, do while loop, and some practical questions, right? Apart from that, we have discussed about the final statement, final keyword, through which you can make any variable as a constant, and static and instance variable. So today we are going to discuss static and instance methods in a class, right? So as we know that the static variable is attached with the class, it has only one copy. So if you declare any object, still every object will have the same copy because the static variable is attached with the class. While if we talk about the instance variable, then it is attached with object. And every object will have its own copy of the variable. So every object will have its own copy. Okay, so which means the copy of one object will differ from the copy of another object because every object is having its own copy. So the same thing happens with the static and instance methods also, but there is one more thing which is added with the static method, and that is the static method can access only static variable. Fine. So let's discuss about the static instance method first. Instance methods. So these are the methods which are declared inside the class. Fine. Suppose I have declared a class A, and inside class A I have declared void, say fun, and in the class I have declared one variable as integer A. So obviously static keyword is not written over here, which means this is a instance variable, right? And then I'm declaring static integer B, which means this variable is a static variable. So the instance variable will be attached with object, and the static variable, we know that it is attached with the class. So it will have a single copy, right? So it is a instance function because the static keyword is not attached with it, and I am accessing instance variable inside it, and I'm trying to access static variable also. Then we'll display the value of A and B. That is instance variable का value print करके देख रहे हैं, और static variable का जो value है we are trying to print that also. तो हम instance की value print करके देख रहे हैं, and the variable is A, and after that we'll try to print the value of a static variable, and the variable is B. So let's check whether the instance function can access the static and instance variable or not. So we will declare public static void main command line argument array, and then we will declare the object of A class. So I've declared the object of A class, and then we'll call the function fun over here, right? So this is my program, and we'll see how to execute this program. तो ऊपर का ये हटा देते हैं, and we'll save this program. So I have saved this program with a.java. We know that the file name should be the class name where you have declared the main function. So we'll execute this program. The program is compiled successfully. Now we'll try to execute this program. So instance variable का value 10 दे रहा है, static variable का value 11 है, which means we can access the static as well as instance variable inside a instance function, right? Now we'll declare one function that is static function. So I have declared a fun1 function, which is a static function. Now what is the property of the static function? It is attached with the class. It is attached with class and it can access only static variables. It can access only static variables. So what we'll do, we'll try to use the instance variable as well with the function, and we'll see whether we can use the instance variable in the function or not. If we cannot use, then it should give the error. तो मैंने A और B दोनों को फिर से reinitialize कर दिया है, and then we are printing the value of A and B. We know that the function is attached with the class, so there is no need to declare the object of this function. So I can call this function directly, right? Now let's try to compile this program according to my knowledge. The program should give the error because we are accessing the instance variable over here. So A is equal to 12, but it should give error, and where we are printing the A inside the static function, it should give the error there also. Right, so let's save the program and try to execute the program. Fine, so we'll try to execute this program, Java C. See, because you are accessing a non-static variable inside the static function, so that is why wherever you have used the static variable, non-static variable, it is giving error. So I have already told you A is equal to 12 पर error आ रही है, और जहां पर आपने A को print कराया है, it is giving the error there also, right? So let's try to remove this error. So this is commented and this cannot be printed, so I have removed this also, right? Now let's try to execute. I hope the error should be removed. So I'm executing this program. Okay, compile ho gaya. Now execute this program. See, it is showing, it is from the fun. ये जो instance is equal to 10 और static variable is equal to 11 आ रहा है. It is displaying from the fun, and this is fun1, which is showing only static variable is equal to 13, right? So what is the instance method and static method? So instance method can access the static variable as well as instance variable. It is attached with the object, and every object will have its separate copy, right? Now come to the static method. The static method is attached with the class. It can access only static variables which are declared in the class, and obviously because it is static, that is why every object will have the same copy of that particular function. And the third thing that is common, that you need not to declare the object of the class to access the static functions and variable, because it is already attached with the class, right? So this is the concept of a static variable and a static functions, instance variable and instance function. Now we will discuss about the constructor overloading. New concept is constructor overloading. So first of all, we'll see what is constructor, and after that we will see what is constructor overloading. So what is constructor? It is same as a method in a class, but with some properties. Okay, now property number one, the name of method or function should be same as class name, which means if your class name is a student, the constructor name should also be student. It can have parameters. parameters but no return type, not even void. Generally, when you write a function, if the function is not returning any value, you write the void before the function. But in case of constructor, you can pass the parameters, but you cannot write any return type, not even the void. You can write before the constructor. Now, third and most important thing, it is used to allocate memory to the object of a class. So constructor is used to allocate memory to the object of a class. So let's see, if I have declared a class A, and inside the class A, I have a variable small a, and I also have a function fun over here, where I am initializing the value of a and then I'm printing the value of a. Right, this is my function fun. Now I'm writing public static void main. Now I wish to use fun function. I wish to call fun function. For that, I need to declare the object of a class. So I have declared object as A1. Then new keyword is used for the memory allocation. And after that, I'm using a and function parenthesis. This a and function parenthesis is constructor. This is constructor, right? अब ये किस टाइप का कंस्ट्रक्टर है, दैट विल डिस्कस लेटर ऑन. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टर्मिनोलॉजी को जानते हैं कि it is a constructor that we have used with the new keyword, and the purpose of this constructor is to allocate the memory to a1 object. Now I can call a1 dot fun. The fun function will be called and then we can execute this function, and obviously हमें क्या मिलेगा, output में 10 will be displayed in the output. Now there are two types of constructor. Types of constructor की बात करते हैं. There are two types of constructor: default constructor and parameterized constructor. Default constructor and parameterized constructor. Now, if we talk about the default constructor, it is not required. It is not required to declare default constructor. आपको डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर डिक्लेयर करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ऑटोमेटिकली आपका जो जावा है, इट यूजेस द डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर टू डिक्लेयर द मेमोरी टू allocate the memory to the object, as we can see over here. So a and function parenthesis is basically called as default constructor. This is called as default constructor, and you can see that I have not declared any constructor in a class. I have declared only fun function. Apart from that, I have not declared anything, but still I can use this constructor to allocate the memory to this particular object. So A is called as default constructor, which do not have any parameter. Now come to the parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor will take the parameters and is used to assign the values of that parameter to the class variables, right? But if you are using a parameterized constructor, then default constructor will automatically stop working. I'm repeating again. If you are declaring a parameterized constructor, what is the meaning of parameterized constructor? That your constructor is having the parameters, and the values of these parameters you can assign to the class variables, right? But if you have declared the parameterized constructor in your class, then your default constructor will stop working automatically until you are not declaring it explicitly in the class. So let's take it one by one. So parameterized constructor बनाते हैं. I have declared a parameterized constructor because I am having only one variable in a class. So I have declared one parameter in the constructor. And you can match the properties from here. The name of the method should be same as the class name. So it is A because my class name is A. It can have parameter but no return type. It is having a parameter but no return type. I cannot write even void also, right? And it is used to allocate the memory. That we'll see later on. So the value of B I'm assigning to A, which means the value of A will become the value of B. Fine. And then fun function is going to display the value of A. Now let's try this program first. ये वाला part में हटा देती हूँ. Now let's try this program, whether this program will be executed or will it give error, because I told you that if there is a parameterized constructor declared in your program, then default constructor should stop working. Fine. So I am executing this program and according to me, this program should give the error. So it is giving error. Why it is giving error? Because it is a default constructor and you require to pass the integer value inside the constructor. So which means my default constructor has stopped working. Now I should pass one parameter while declaring the object. So suppose I have passed 12. Now this 12 will go to B and this B value will go to A. So automatically the value of A will become 12. And when you will print the value of A, you will get 12 over here. Right? So let's check this program. So I'm compiling this program. Program is compiled and now execute this program. See, the value of A is 12. So which means if you have a parameterized constructor in your program, then your default constructor will not work. But if you wish to have the default constructor also, then declare it explicitly in your program. So I'm declaring the default constructor also. I've declared default constructor also. Now if I will write this program should not give error. Why? Because my program is having default constructor also. But the value of A will become 10 now. If I will call fun function, it should give me 10. Let's try this also. Program is compiled. Now I'm executing this program. See, the value of A is 10. Now, if you wish to use both constructors, then for a one constructor, you will have one object. So obviously, if you are having a two constructor, then you have to declare two objects, right? So I'm declaring one more object, say A2 is equal to new, and here I'm using the parameterized constructor. Suppose I have passed 12 over here. So which means this constructor is not calling right now. We are not calling this constructor right now, default constructor. Which constructor we are calling? The constructor which has a single parameter. So this constructor will be called, which is having an integer parameter. And this 12 will be assigned to A. So if I call A2.fun, it should give me now 12. So let's try to run this program and then we will analyze that. So compile this program and then execute this program. See, using default constructor, your object is giving 10, and using parameterized constructor, your object is giving 12, right? Now let's come to the program. Up, listen carefully the concept. If your program is having, if you have declared more than one constructors in a class with different parameters, then it is called as constructor overloading. What is constructor overloading? If your program is having more than one constructors in such a way that every constructor is having a different parameter. See, you cannot define default constructor more than one in a class, right? Or this type of constructor which is having an integer argument more than one. Every constructor will be declared only once, right? But if you wish to declare more than one constructor, then where should be the variation? The variation should be in the parameters. You can declare constructor with the different parameters. Now let's take one example. Suppose I have one more variable in my class, that is a string name. Now I can declare one more constructor over here, and the constructor name should be A. I can declare the constructor with a parameter string, and this string parameter I can assign to the name variable. I can have one more constructor with integer, say B, and string n, and then I can assign these values to the members of the class. So in this way, we can write various constructors in a single class, but every constructor should have different parameters. So you can see that in a single class A, I have declared single parameter constructor, default constructor, again single parameter constructor, but the parameter type is different. Here the parameter type is integer, and here the parameter type is string. And again I have declared one more constructor where the parameters are two. First parameter is integer and second parameter is string. You can declare one more constructor in a same class where you can pass two parameters, but you can change the sequence of these parameters, which means the first parameter you can pass it as a string and another parameter you can pass it as integer. So let's see this also. Two parameters I'm passing. First parameter is a string and second parameter is integer. This is also possible. A is equal to B. Right, this is also possible. So basically, you can declare different type of constructor in a single class, but the constructor should vary with the parameters. And this phenomena is called as constructor overloading. So if you have any confusion, you can ask one by one. Otherwise, the concept of constructor overloading is finished. So in today's class, we have studied about the static and instance methods, and where the main difference between the static and instance method, apart from the static and instance variable, was the static method can access only static variables, while your instance method can access instance variable as well as static variables also. After that, we have seen the concept of constructor. So basically, constructor is like a function, but there are three rules for the constructor. Rule number one, the name of the constructor should be same as the class name. Rule number two, the constructor can receive the parameter, but it cannot return. It cannot have return type. And three, constructor is used to allocate the memory to the class object, right? Okay. After that, we have seen the concept of constructor overloading. What is constructor overloading? The constructor overloading is a concept where you can declare more than one constructor in a single class, but the constructor should be varied with the parameters, which means you can have different parameters and you can declare more than one constructor in a class. Fine. And most important cheese, there are two types of constructor that you can have in a class: default constructor and parameterized constructor. If your constructor is a default constructor, which means there is no parameter in the constructor and it is not required to declare explicitly. So by default, we use the default constructor to declare the object. But in case you have declared the parameterized constructor in your class, then default constructor will stop working. How will it start working? You have to declare the default constructor again in your class. So that's it about the today's lecture. If you have any confusion, you can ask one by one. Else, in the